Howdy everybody, how's it going? My name's Sabina. I am the left-handed alchemist. Welcome to my channel. I hope you are all having a splendid 2026 so far. I know it's still early and that the world seems like it's burning. Let me tell you, it is easy to get lost in the sauce of our own horror, of the horror movie that is playing out in front of us. But I hope that you are finding it within yourself to take control of what you can and to release what you can't, because if you take it all on personally on your shoulders as your job to fix every little thing that is going on in the world that is not like great, you're going to hurt yourself. So with that in mind, peace, loves, and blessings to your 2026. As some of you guys know, in 2025, I did a series that I called my Sketchbook Tour series, where I went through every single one of my sketchbooks from the beginning of my sketchbook practice to my current most completed sketchbook. And I went through each one in depth. I talked about my experience reviewing them, what I remember about my life when I was creating them, and just my sketchbook process in general. You can find that complete series on my channel. I have it all on a playlist so you can binge the whole thing. Today I'm going to show you guys my 2025 project. It was this book that I kept as a planner as well as a sketchbook, and it really catalogs my entire year of 2025. Here's some context for you. POV, you're me. It's about November of 2024. You're scrolling on TikTok as one does, and you find yourself in the magical land of journal TikTok. You're inundated with content about fountain pens and Hobonichi Teco, Hobonichi Weeks, Hobonichi Cousin. Oh, have you heard of Sterling Ink? Oh, what about Aura Estelle? It's overwhelming. Next thing you know, you've blacked out. You awaken again. You're on jetpens.com. You have a cart full of crap, $100 plus. You come to, what the heck am I doing? What's going on? I've already bought a planner for 2025, and it's not anything that they're talking about on TikTok. You scramble for a minute. You think, what I have isn't good enough. I need to get something different. No, because you're also on the side of TikTok that's about overconsumption. You don't need more than what you have. And you know what I'm saying? You don't need multiples of the same things if they don't serve different purposes. I already have a collection of unused notebooks. I don't need to add to it. You know what I'm saying? So I had purchased this Paper Age planner. It's a weekly planner that I found on Amazon.com for $15. Now, one thing about me to add to this whole context thing is I have been keeping a planner consistently for a very long time. In middle school, they would give us free planners, and I always found them very helpful. I used them because, write it down or you forget it. I just kind of figured that out as a youngster. And then in high school, I kept a planner, and I would buy my own planner, and I would buy these really cute ones from Barnes and Nobles that were considered expensive. They were $20 at the time, and that was really expensive for a planner apparently. And I would always think at the end of every year, oh, I'm going to use this again as a sketchbook and it'll be so fun. And then I never would do that because I already had a different sketchbook going on, and I would just throw them away. I did that through college as well. And I even did that into my adult life. I've had many different kinds of planners. I've made my own planners out of blank bullet journals. I've bought many different kinds of planners. And this whole last year was an experience and an experiment that I had yet to undertake. I had learned from Journal TikTok and looking at people's beautifully crafted Hobonichis and junk journals that you could use these books as a catalog for your life, the sketchbook of 2025. I learned that you could use these books as a way to document your year in real time in a very easy bite-sized way. That's not I'm going to go back and think about 2025 and catalog the whole lot. You're creating a written history in the moment. And so I decided, okay, instead of buying the Hobonichi that was my dream book at the time because I was influenced, I'm just going to use what I have. So I stuck with the paper age. Partly what I really loved about this is it was a weekly planner. So it wasn't like I had a drawing to do every single day. It was something that was very easy for me to stick to. And so we're going to go through the entire thing. I'm going to talk about my experience with this book. We're going to go through like what I experienced through the year of 2025. And if you decide that you want to do this in 2026, I'm posting this early enough in the year. I'm hoping that you can find a planner and fill in the blank pages, kind of go back if you really want to. And I will offer some suggestions for what I think a beginner, intermediate, or advanced version of this could be at the end of the video in my outro. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, let's get into it. So here's the front, here's the back. It didn't dawn on me until about halfway through the year that I should be using the stickers the same way I used my stickers in my sketchbooks as like a record of where I've gone and what I'm doing. So this is a sticker that I designed. This is a sticker that came in a sticker pack that, I don't know, came with some stickers that I ordered. This came out of a book. And then back here is more when I thought like, hey, I should collect stickers from the places that I've gone. So this is from the One-Eyed Buffalo Brewing Company in Thermopolis, Wyoming. This is from Hotel St. Cloud in Canyon City, Colorado. And this is from Ear Candy Music in Missoula, Montana. I bought a CD there when I was there at Christmas. So that's the outside. I'm doing my 2026 planner differently, and I think I'll talk about that either at the end of this video or like in a different video, but I'm using stickers again as a way to mark like where I've been and what I'm doing. So on my inner cover, I wrote down general goals that I had for the year. And some of them I was successful at, and some of them I severely failed. I didn't really learn that Pepe the Frog was like kind of an iffy meme. Someone had given me the sticker and I thought it was kind of funny. Whatever. Judge me as you will. I don't really care. So my general vibe of 2025 was satisfaction. I really was going for a general feeling that I wanted to manifest as opposed to like physical tangible things, because I find the beginning of the year a little overwhelming as far as like really trying to call things in. So I was just going for like a general vibe and feeling that I wanted to experience in the next year that was really solid. So I like wrote that down and colored it in, and then I added everything else as the year went on. So my husband and I have been living with my in-laws for almost 2 years now, and we couldn't even find a place. Like we were being kind of picky, honestly, because we had needs that we needed where it was like, let's try and find the thing that we need so we don't just settle for something less and then have to move again in like a year or two when we actually find what we want. So everything has been great living with my in-laws, but like, you know, you just want your own place after a certain amount of time, right? So our goal was to buy a house, which we successfully did. I'll get to that more when we like get to that time period in this book. Grow my YouTube channel, which I did. I kind of fell off of it a little bit. I can talk about functional freeze a little bit if you guys want. I have ideas of things that I want to experience in my life. And then when it comes to actually putting the pedal to the pavement, I freeze and freak out a little bit and I doubt myself a lot. And so that's actually something that I'm working on in 2026 is really working on my nervous system and highlighting areas where I am experiencing functional freeze and finding the support to get out of it. My physical fitness, yeah, that was like really good at the beginning of the year and then I fell off of it. That's something that I succeed at and then fail at frequently in my life. I did learn that running is not that scary. I did learn a lot about fascia. I did learn a lot about zone 2 training. I also learned what it looks like to let your Fitbit be your master, and I hated that feeling. Generate 5 figures monthly with art sales failed. I failed that. I did not succeed at that. Here's a little page of like notes and things to get out of a creative block. I didn't do anything with this page. This was where I tracked my steps until July. It was like around here that I realized, hey, I'm actually using my Fitbit as a way to punish myself It wasn't like a joyful curiosity of like, hey, this is like a fun experience. It was like a way to shame myself. So I really fell off of it in the last half of the year, but I was doing quite a bit of yoga during this time. I just wasn't tracking it. For my monthly area, I would do a drawing a day or about a drawing a day. I'll be honest with you, sometimes I would play catch up. It would be like 3 or 4 days and I would like draw 3 or 4 drawings just to fill in the blanks. And I'm okay with that because I have a complete sketchbook now and it was done current enough that it didn't really bother me that bad. So here's January. In February, I start to play with colored pencil. That was fun. I have like a lifetime supply of Prismacolor pencils because you know that thing where like your family knows you're an artist, so they get you like art kits. At some point, the art kits got upgraded, which I'm not complaining. But my auntie, my great aunt, bought me like the biggest pack of Prismacolor pencils you can possibly get. And Auntie Jackie, if you're watching this, I still use them. Like to this day, I still have them. I've been given a few more kits to supplement them, like smaller ones, and they're awesome. They're awesome pencils, and I love them, and I think about you every time I use them. So, very grateful. Here's March, a little bit of colored pencil. I was at the beginning of the year, I was doing a lot of colored pencil with Sharpie pen, those like Sharpie marker pens, because they draw really well over the colored pencil. And then around here, I get my first fountain pen, and the ink that I had wasn't that great with the colored pencils, so my art style kind of changes after this. Well, maybe that's not entirely true because here's April. Yeah, just kind of little thoughts and things that happened. And then here's May, much more like ink pen forward as I'm playing with my fountain pen and getting to know her more. Here's June. I stuck to the color green in June, which I thought was really fun. I was working through a Muji pen, I remember. That was a fun pen to work with. July was orange, kind of red, orange, blue, as you can see. Lots of different little things that happen. Kind of a way to document like the more whimsical side of the year, where it's like on this day I made a bunch of lizard keychains that you can actually still find on my website if you like want, like those little beaded 90s early 2000s lizard keychains that we were making out of like pony beads. I made a bunch out of seed beads and they're like little mini keychains. Are really freaking cute. August, here's some red and purple. Just kind of fun. Just fun little way to document. My favorite ink of the year was this brown. It's this Kaweco brown. Oh my god. I'm currently running with red in my Kaweco Lily, but is it Lilliput? It's the copper, like the mini copper one. I bought one of those. So my first fountain pen was a Kaweco Sport. Awesome pen. It's like relatively affordable. I think it was like 30 or 40 bucks with a little copper clip that I got. And in the long term, you end up saving more money because you're buying ink, and like a bottle of ink can be anywhere from like $10 to $20, but you can refill your pens a lot. So I bought the Kaweco like ink kit so that I could try a bunch of different colors to kind of see like my vibe. Right now I'm running a blue. It's a baby blue pen. So I'm running a blue ink in it. I have like maybe 5 or 6 blue like little interchangeable cartridges that I'm just going to go through before I like buy a bottle of ink. But you can refill the little reusable cartridges. I would actually recommend refilling the reusable cartridges as opposed to using like the piston cartridge. And if you guys want a video on this, I can give you a video on this. In fact, I might make a note of it and just give you a video on this in general because it's something I'm interested in. It might be something you're interested in. My favorite actually though has been this brown ink. And I think in the future I would put this brown ink in my copper pen so that it's like the same color. But right now I'm running a red ink in my copper pen. My second pen was a TWSBI Eco. I love that pen. It has to be a fine tip though, because here's the thing. I got the medium tip in my Kaweco Sport, and it's fine. It's great for like writing, and it's okay for some doodling and drawing. I don't mind it. But the fine tip and the extra fine tip are game changers. I just find the drawing experience of that to be a lot more fun. So I got the TWSBI Eco, which has a really gigantic ink reservoir, and I've been just running like a Lamy black ink through that. And when I run out of that ink, maybe I'll buy a different kind because it's a little wet and it doesn't highlight very well. But then I bought a copper Kaweco Lilliput, I think is what it's called. I love that pen. It's so cute. Copper is my favorite metal. And yeah, I run this red ink through that and I love it. I think I said I really love the brown ink in it, but I just am going to have a hard time giving up my red ink. Anyway, long story short, I also got into fountain pens this year. And that's a slippery slope because there's so many to try and they can be really expensive and you really only need a few. Like really, if you're like into stationery and drawing and stuff, you really don't need that many. Just be aware of overconsumption, you guys. Maybe try them out and if, like the ones you don't like, gift to people because it's not like that deep. Anyway, September, October. This is when we bought our house. Orchard mommy. I'm an orchard mommy now. More on that later. This is when I start to realize I'm in functional freeze at the end of October because I am disassociating a lot into fan fiction. I have so much work to do on this new orchard. Like we bought this 120-year-old house with 5 acres of land that came with 146 apple trees according to my most recent count. That's a lot of work. And every single one of those trees has dead wood on it that I have to cut off. I mean, I will have help eventually, but like the last 2 or 3 days in my current reality, I've been trimming them all by myself. And it's very fun, satisfying work, but it's hard work. And it's a lot. And it was very daunting. So here in this moment where I'm recognizing that I'm in freeze is kind of illuminating something that I need to look at here very soon within like this timeline. So here's November. I had bought these acrylic paint pens, the Sharpie acrylic pens. I love them. They play really well with my fountain pens. And so it's kind of satisfying the like creative stuff that I was doing earlier. Like this was hard to do with my fountain pens because the kind of waxy nature of the colored pencils wasn't playing very well with the ink. And so I kind of abandoned that for a few months, as you guys saw. Ink plays really well with the acrylic markers. So I've been really enjoying them. November. This is like you guys can see. I fell off the wagon here for this many days. And so I just did a doodle to fill in that. And I think it looks kind of cool. And same with this. At some point I start quilting. When do I have quilt mommy? I start quilting kind of in the last half of 2025. And there's just something about a half square triangle that I am obsessed with. It's such a simple pattern, but they look so sleek and modern. I just love it. I want to make a whole like big quilt out of only half square triangles. And then here's December. So that's the monthlies. And now we're about to get into the weeklies. So week 1, I would say for the first like 4 or 5 weeks, I play catch up because I wasn't really in the habit of sitting down with this at the end of the week and like filling out my page. And there was a moment where I could have just been like, screw it, I'm not doing this. But it was like, I made a promise with myself to do this practice, so I'm going to do this practice. And it evolves throughout the year, and that's okay. On this side, I do all of my like day-to-day planning. I had a little section here. Sometimes it was like a note card or like an insert that had my weekly to-do list that I would pull from to do my daily to-do list. And then I would have a card here that was my monthly goals so that I could pull from this to do my weeks and then from my weeks to do my days. And then other little things that would pop up like appointments and things that like are not really week oriented would go on here. It has been fun Like later in the year, I realized it's kind of fun to be able to see what I was doing every day. And it kind of gives me more of a realistic idea of what like my life looked like. And so that's how my practice evolves and changes. And we'll like talk about that more as the video goes on. So I would do like little blurbs, little phrases or things that were coming up for me during that week, little pictures, whatever. And create just a little like create a little spread about them. Sometimes throughout the week I'd have to write down little notes. Sometimes I would just do a little doodle here and there throughout the week, but oftentimes it looked like me sitting down on like Saturday evening and filling out my page. Pretty low maintenance, low stakes, because I'm doing this every day just about anyway. So it wasn't that hard to spend like an extra few minutes to like fill out the other side of the page. And then you have this beautiful sketchbook at the end of the year that is like really satisfying. So you can kind of see the style of these first few pages are all the same. I think I did them all within a few days because I was playing catch up. And if you are considering doing this practice and you fall behind, it's okay. You can just play catch up. You can just fill in a few weeks, a few days, whatever structure you end up going with. After the fact, nobody's going to know. It's not that big of a deal. And then you are like on track. You know what I'm saying? So this whole thing is supposed to be fun. It's just a big experiment. It's just you documenting your life. It's not that serious. You are supposed to have fun with it. And if it feels like too much pressure, lessen the load for yourself, baby girl. It's not that deep. Figure out a way to get it done instead of making it perfect. Okay, I know that that's like a really cliche thing to say, but it is true. So this is kind of, you can see when I start to pick up colored pencils. It was inspired by that cerulean like oracle deck that is on TikTok. I think it's the numerology oracle deck where the guy filled in like a bunch of sketchbooks using just like a cerulean blue colored pencil. It's like, oh my God, that's so cool. So I was kind of playing with that idea. I'd expanded beyond that pretty quickly. Yeah. Talk about my week, talk about things that I'm thinking of. This is when I start to implement a weekly journal blurb in the monthly slot. So this monthly slot is like a note card that I tape in, and then I put it in my monthly section at the back of the notebook that we'll get to in a few minutes. That catalogs like my month. So this was just a big blank rectangle every week. And I would doodle in it, as you guys saw, like I would draw in it, but then it kind of dawned on me, like maybe I should write about my week so that I have more of like, it's more of like history, like record keeping. Less times about like actual things that are happening in the world, because it's kind of like, this is what's happening in my world. This is more like what's going on in my internal space, how I felt about the week, the way it felt to navigate life most of the time. So, yeah, sometimes I had more complex doodles, sometimes more like drawings. And from this point forward, always a blurb about my week. Kind of playing with quilty designs. My drawing style really has changed throughout the years. And if you want to see that full transformation and change, please check out my sketchbook tour series. But as of lately, my drawings are more design forward. So I learned a lot about ornamental design, which would be these scrolls that you see throughout the whole thing, when I learned how to engrave. This is like the backbone. This like scroll work is like the backbone of engraving. If you look at old like Western guns, you're going to see them everywhere. You'll just start to see them everywhere on buildings, engraved into things, on furniture. It's really, really was a common design motif, and it has a whole language. And it's one of those things where it's kind of like you're not doing it right until you're doing it right, and no one really knows how to tell you how to do it right. There's a few books that are kind of like, here's like the general gist of it, but it's very much about intuition, and it's very much also about flow, which is difficult, but also really fun. So you just have to practice. Like the only way to get better at it is to practice, and I practice often. And I haven't been doing that much engraving, but I feel like this design, how to fill in a space and design a space, helps in a lot of different areas, even just like composition building for a painting. Or like I started making quilts this year and getting a lot more into textile arts. And you can kind of see some of these motifs right here. And I think that it all kind of goes together. So my design forward art style has kind of been the transition and the evolution of this last year. Less like composition, more design elements. Here you can see, this is when I got my fountain pen. I went to go see Annie DeRusso in concert in Denver. Austin and I stayed at this really cute Airbnb. It actually wasn't an Airbnb, it was a bed and breakfast in Denver that was not too far from the venue. And then we went to H.R. Menninger's. I'm probably not saying that correctly, but it's just a big art store in Denver that has a bunch of art supplies, and we both got fountain pens for fun. Honestly, Austin influenced me to get one. He wanted one, and then I saw his and I was like, wait, I want one too. So we both got one. And yeah, this is when I truly let my business die. I talk about this a lot in my sketchbook tour series, but my whole like experience with my art has changed a lot too, in addition to my styles changing. I was like a hardcore jeweler for a few years, and I kind of was like really putting all my eggs in that basket without really like feeling like that's what I wanted to do with my life. I just felt like it's what I should do because I had already invested all this time, money, and energy into it. So it's like a waste if I don't pursue this full-heartedly, even though my full heart was not in it. So Left-Handed Alchemy was my previous business, and I let it die, and it has transitioned into Left-Handed Studios. I still really resonate with left-handed, being left-handed and all, but the studios opens me up to a little more beyond my magical side too. Like I'm still an alchemist, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I had to let it die. It was like I was carrying around an old corpse. So the mid part of my year looked a lot like shedding of old skin. The year of the wood snake apparently was really on with the whole like releasing things that no longer serve you. I stopped smoking weed. I started to run and work out differently. I've still honestly deal with like having a hard time falling asleep, and that was really affecting my life bad. Like I was experiencing insomnia for the first time, but also finding patterns with it, realizing like, oh, this is like hormonal based insomnia. Day 24 of my cycle almost always looks like not being able to sleep. And so I've been turning to herbalism to help heal that and finding pretty good results, slow and steady, and consistency is what that's teaching me, because it's not a fast result, but it's working. This is the week I start to really resonate with fish and trouts, and this is when the fish necklaces that I most recently released start to become an idea in my head. I'm just drawing fish on everything. Just kind of crazy doodles. Like, this is not a very exciting page. This was like a get it done kind of page. And you know what? That's okay. Like, not every page is going to be a work of art. I was really loving daffodils at the end of March. Or not March. At the end of April, the daffodils were really like loud and pretty and cool. This is when I turned 29. I'm 29 years old, you guys. I'm old. Just kidding. 30 is actually so young. Like, I'm not even 30 yet, but I'm like, oh my God, I'm so old. No, I'm really not. Don't be ridiculous. I got a part-time job working at a art center in my town. That I talk about this in my 2026 goals and 2025 review video that I posted last week, basically. I overcame social anxiety in 2025, and That was maybe one of the biggest wins for the year. And this job is what did it. I've been self employed. I let my business die. Okay, now what? I need a way to occupy my time. I could lay around and read all day and like work around the house. I don't necessarily like have to work, thank God, but I wanted to. I needed something to do. We hadn't found our house yet. And I just had this crippling social anxiety and like need to get out of the house. So I found a part time job that put me in a position to be talking to a lot of different people. And it made me realize, hey, maybe it's not always me who's the awkward one. And it took my head out of my ass long enough to see that and be able to recognize like I'm actually not scared of anybody and I can talk to anybody and it's not that big of a deal and I actually really don't care what anybody thinks of me. And if I do say something weird and awkward, okay, yeah, like I might cringe about it later and I still deal with internalized shame really bad, but it's easier and easier to deal with. So, yeah. There was a lot of weird drama at that job though, and I didn't last for 6 months. I actually think I only lasted like 4.5, 5 months. But it was kind of like a portal. Like I went through a portal with that job and I'm really thankful for it. This is another like nothing page. Just a little doodle of a cactus, some quilting blocks, and some doodles that I used to do like a long time ago. I probably had done a sketchbook tour where like I was working or like looking at this design a lot and just decided to play with it. Still really resonating with the snake imagery. I draw a lot of snakes in previous sketchbooks. So, I don't know. It's still an image and a symbol that I enjoy working with. I think I made a necklace that I sent to Mojave Flea in Yucca Valley, California around this time because that is the design that I made. Some weeks I would do just a longer journal and that's okay. I had more to say. I started reading The Wise Woman Healing book, really opinionated, really not a fun read, but so many beautiful images drawn throughout that book and like a really interesting way to approach healing. And something that I've been really considering in my own herbalism and healing path is like simple, integrated, connected. Like it's like an example in this book that I really love and that is so not a Western way of thinking is like, okay, so you choose to be a vegetarian. Cool. Great. That's the decision you've made. You are in a situation where you are in community with somebody new. They offer you like a piece of jerky that they made. You're a vegetarian, but this person is offering you connection through this piece of jerky. It is more integrated, it is more connected, it is more in this path healthy to eat that piece of jerky and be in connection with that person than it is to refuse it and stand on business. Because the goal, according to the Wise Woman Healing Way, or the Wise Woman Healing modality, is more about connection and the way that we're all interconnected. And connecting with that woman does something more to your spirit that is better for your overall well-being than not putting meat in your body. And I just thought that was really beautiful and not something we do in Western world where it's like, let me tell you about my diet and I stick to it and I'm really strict and I only eat meat or I never eat meat. Like there's also kind of something that was going around on TikTok earlier this year or later last year that was like, you know, you can be a vegan and eat bacon. It's still better to be a vegan most of the time and eat bacon sometimes because it's what you enjoy than it is to like do nothing. I'm not really of the idea that like not eating meat is better for the world. I think that takes us out of like an entire ecosystem that we're a part of, but that is not really the point of this. I'm just trying to give examples of the wise woman archetype. Like with herbs and stuff, it's an herbalism modality, but it's very simple. So it's like if you're going to take a blend of herbs, take them one at a time, which is a lot. But I look at some recipes now with this in mind, and there will be like 20 different plants mixed together. I'm like, that's a lot of consciousness blended together. Like, you don't even know who you are or what you're dealing with anymore. How do you know what's working and where if you're not acquainted with the plants individually? And so I'm kind of the mindset that like you work with plants individually and then they will kind of communicate to you how they want to be worked in collaboration with others. Like I started with dandelion root, just dandelion root. And then I was reading about how dandelion and burdock work really well together. And then it was like I sat with dandelion and I was like, hey, how does this feel? And so I tried it. It felt really good. It's one of my favorite 2 herb blends is dandelion root and burdock root. They work really well for detoxification. If you're having skin issues, give that tea a try. Decoct it on the stove for a while, strain it, drink it. It's going to taste like dirty root, but it will make your skin look really good. Anyway, highly recommend that book. Just some more life stuff, transmutation. This was clearly the orange month. I was working through an orange ink cartridge in my fountain pen, and we were having a splendid time. I started tracking some of my habits here. I was doing it on my monthly card or my monthly page, and I just found that kind of difficult. This is when I connected with a crow ancestor. And then this is when I started adding pages in. So I had decided that I was devoting myself to the creative spirit. And I talk about it in other videos. And I think I still am to a certain degree. But the creative spirit does not demand 24 hours of your time. You know, the creative spirit is there for you. And it's like an inherent part of you. And it will reward you when you nurture it. So be nurturing it every day in some small way, which I was finding like with this practice. But I was neglecting the life side of my life. Cleaning tasks, admin tasks, just things that like needed to be done in my day-to-day life that I was just like just not doing. And so I had a moment where I like came out of like the pool of creativity and I looked at my life around me and I was like, what has been going on? Like, this is a mess. This is bad. So I created a list that I spent 2 weeks working through. Like, I'm not even kidding, to get my shit back in order. And then I realized, okay, the creative spirit is just like any other relationship you're going to have. It has to have boundaries. Like, you have to have boundaries with your relationship to the creative spirit, or you will suffer. And I found that out. It's just an experiment, you know, give it a try if you want. That's up to you. But I learned that, okay, if I give all my energy to the creative spirit, then I'm like severely neglecting other parts of my life, and having my life be really messy really affects my mental health in a negative way. So the creative spirit doesn't want you to suffer. That's a common idea, is that you must suffer for your art. And I think that you can suffer and make good art, but you don't have to. I don't have to live in squander just because I had a creative idea. Sometimes actually refraining from creating helps you use your creativity in a little more of like a potent way that is fun and exciting. I don't know. I'm still kind of developing my relationship with it. You know, it's an ongoing thing. It's an evolution, and it will ebb and flow depending on different seasons of my life. Like currently, I don't have a lot of time to create. I'm working on my property, but there will come a time when I'm done doing a lot of the heavy lifting of what we have to do with this property, and I will have time to fall into a creative hole again. And you have to make time for it, and there are seasons. So there's a little bit of both going on at all times. Hey, what season of life are you in? Do you have excess time to dedicate to your creative practice the way you think you should or you want to? Okay, maybe not. What small thing can you do to continue to nurture your creative fire? I think this practice is that for me. more tracking. I have tidy tasks, and that's something that I implemented a few years ago when I was really contemplating mind, body, spirit, is there are things that I have to do every day to maintain my life and my sanity. So I call them tidy tasks. It's things like tidying up, picking up around your house, doing your dishes, maybe doing a load of laundry if that's something you like to do every day, exercising, moving my body, and taking my vitamins. If I do that every day and I do nothing else, or if I do that in a day and I do nothing else, I've had a good day. So that is kind of like my bare minimum. And it's not super rigid, as you can see. Like, I had one perfect day, kind of missed a couple days, had a pretty good day here. And it's like, it doesn't have to be perfect. I track it so that I have like a check to check off on my to-do list, less like a way to punish myself. This is when I start to implement the tape-ins for my weekly tasks and my tracking, because I just find it easier and better for my well-being to have these little blocks that I track my like habits on. And then I also moved to, I think I had already before this, moved to highlighting things when I'm done with them on my list so I can still see them. And then it's like I can kind of see like what my day actually was like in hindsight. And that's really fun. So I do my journaling behind my tip-in is what they call it in the journaling world. And then my drawing around it. Was really feeling nostalgic about Arizona there a little bit this fall. Just like the smell of the desert in late summer, early fall. That transition from hot to cool. I don't know. I was printing my little tip-ins out from Excel. I love this orchid. So cute, so pretty. And then this came into effect after I went to the Salida Fiber Festival. It must have been this weekend, yeah. September 7th. I went to the Salida Fiber Fest. And that was fun. I love fibers. Like, this is the year that I really start to dive into fiber crafting. So knitting, crocheting, quilting, anything that involves like fabric, fiber, textiles. I haven't gotten into weaving yet, but that's something I'm doing in 2026. So there's a big festival in Salida, Colorado every year. It's just fun. It's like an hour away from where I live. And so Austin and I drove up there. I bought some yarn and we walked around Salida because it's just a really cute town that has fun stores to go into. And I found this boutique that had this pad of paper that was like, it's a little bit longer. I cut the bottom off, but it's like maybe 3mm squares and it's pretty long and the paper quality is like really nice. And I could do my daily to-do list on it and tape it in. And it was pretty, like aesthetically prettier than this, I think. Not that there's anything wrong with this. It's just aesthetics do matter to a certain degree. Like it's fun to have pretty things and do things in a way that like is aesthetically pleasing. Like, it does actually reward your brain and it's like good to do things aesthetically. Where it matters to you less, like if you're doing things aesthetically to impress somebody else, that's where it's kind of like not beneficial, but it really does have to benefit you because it's your life. Like, live your life how you choose to aesthetically for you, not because someone else is telling you that's what's cool. Okay, cool girls don't do things because someone says that's what cool girls do. I've seen this on TikTok. Cool girls are using this. If you want to be a cool girl, actually, you're trying too hard. Cool girls don't try that hard. Cool girls do things that they think are cool without worrying about if people think they're cool. Like, cool girls don't sit around thinking about how cool they are and how to be cooler. They just are doing what they want and they're not apologizing to people for it. So, Cool Girl 101. Don't give a fuck. Do what you want. I'll make a video on that. Yeah. So that was like a really fun element to my year that I'm not doing this year because my planner is completely different, but really fun. 10 out of 10 recommend finding a cool, cute pad of paper that you find aesthetically pleasing to use in your day-to-day life. The purple ink was really fun. It didn't last long. I went through it really fast because I loved it. This is when I got my acrylic paint markers, and my art style changed once again because you get different materials and you have a different way of communicating ideas, and things change. And look at how fun and colorful that is. Orchard mommy. So this is the week we bought our house. Yeah. On the 8th. October 8th, we bought a house, a 120-year-old farmhouse. As I said, it needed so much work. Like, it was actually unlivable. And the amount of work, it's like, hey, here are 47 elephants and you have to eat them all. So I went into functional freeze where I was disassociating. I would go and walk around my property, and then I would go home and I would read fan fiction or sew or do literally anything but work on it. But slowly but surely in November, we start to work on the place. We get a crew and we start to work on the house first. What's the house like? What does it need? It needed to be leveled because it was old and the water table is really high where I live. It needed new electrical. It needed then complete insulation in the house. Once we started to tear off the lath and plaster, we found that there wasn't a speck of insulation in the entire house. And it would be way easier actually to care for the house if we didn't have lath and plaster in it for the most part. So we took it all down, insulated it, redid the electrical. Well, we redid the electrical first and then insulated it. Drywall is up, you guys. We're adding a porch that'll have like our bathroom on it, kind of like how it was originally, but so that the porch isn't falling off the house. We'll have like a little bathroom, laundry room kind of situation on our porch. And then we'll live in it. And that is going to happen in the next like 4 months, which is very exciting. It feels like a long time, but like if I could have my 30th birthday in my new house, I think I could be very happy about that. So yeah, I'm working out a functional freeze. As you know how they say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. I have 40 to get through. As I've said, I have 40 elephants to eat. So it's just one bite at a time. If I spend my entire year just cutting dead wood off of my 146 trees and I don't even get to actually like shape any of my trees, that's okay. When I say that this orchard has been neglected for 20 years, I'm actually not exaggerating at all. So yeah, I don't know if 20 years is quite accurate, but I would say at least 10. At least 10 years this property has been almost entirely neglected. So we get to bring it back. It's like actually so lovely that we were given the opportunity to restore this land and be good stewards of this land. And the more work I do with this land, the more satisfied and like more purpose I feel within myself. I'm not sitting around thinking about what I should be doing. I'm just doing what needs to be done. And it's giving my life like a really deep sense of purpose. Kind of playing this like tulip motif is something that I'm still fucking with heavy. A lot of what we're about to see is stuff I'm still kind of contemplating. Half square triangles, tulips, these acrylic markers, so fun. My mom was in town this week and we went to Denver and I got a tattoo and we hung out a lot and that was fun. Yeah. Some pages are better than others. It's less exciting for me to go through this now because I just experienced all of this stuff. So it's like I don't really have that many thoughts or feelings about what was going on in my life because it was like a couple weeks ago. Love this quilt situation. Very cute. This is me just having time and space. Like I was in Montana this week and so I didn't do anything that needed to be like written down. So I just drew on that day. I could have done it here, but I didn't feel like it. And here are the monthly pages. So there were 12 complete, like, open spreads. And I thought 12 open spreads, 12 months. Let's do a spread a month. So here's January. Here's February. Behind here, I do my little monthly breakdown with here you can see like the card that I would tape in on my weekly section. Things I was doing, some goal tracking, ideas, thoughts, doodles, whatever. Every month is different. Kind of similar, but different. Depending on what materials I'm using, how much time I give it. Sometimes I would play catch up. I would realize like, oh, I have like 3 days until the end of the month. I'm just going to fill a page. Yeah. And I think that's okay. Because you know what? In hindsight, I got the book done. It's not like, you just got to take that pressure off you, girl. This is probably my favorite spread. This is June when I was really fucking with that. Wise woman archetype. This is when I start to really connect to Crow ancestor spirit. This is when I'm like aware that I'm connecting with Crow ancestor spirit. It's kind of fun using my doodles and drawings to see common themes. And then with time, I can usually analyze them better. So like next year, I'll be able to look at this and have like a better idea of some things, because some stuff hasn't happened yet. You know, some realizations and things that I'm working through in these pages, I am not like actually consciously aware of what they're connecting to quite yet. So it's kind of fun. I use art as a spiritual practice. So who am I connecting to? What am I connecting to? I'm not always consciously aware. And that's fun. It's a fun mystery. Fun part of life, in my opinion. November, you can tell this is one where I kind of forgot. So I had to fill in my pages rather quickly. And yeah. December. This was a good one. I liked this page quite a bit. And yeah, that's it. Kind of like a recap of the year, major points, things that I experienced. Community, cured my social anxiety, feeling empowered by friends and community. Made a couple new friends this year, and I formed community with my local knitting circle. Sewing, quilts, garments, notebooks. I made a lot of quilted notebooks this year that I'll make videos about here soon. We bought a house and land, feeling more relaxed about life, and I feel like I have some direction as well. It's not all figured out, but it doesn't have to be. 2025 was a lot of shedding of old skin, the year of the snake and all, releasing attachment to identities and lifestyles that didn't work anymore. Cheers to 2025, and here's 2026. So the last thing is there's a pocket in the back of this book, and I shoved a lot of stuff in here. So we're going to go through that right now.
That's my kitty. That's my kitty. He's a good kitty.
Okay. Holy cow, there's a lot. Okay. Here's the box that my first Kaweco came in. It was $28. Probably another 10 for the copper clip. Highly recommend if you're looking for like a beginner grade fountain pen. It's a little small though. This was from a friend's birthday party. We as a family got together and celebrated this person's birthday at the Rabbit Hole in Colorado Springs, and then we went to the Louie Louie Piano Bar after, and that was really fun. 10 out of 10 recommend. And that was a fun night, just like a memento for that. This is the bed and breakfast that we stayed at in Denver, Queen Anne Bed and Breakfast. Give that a check out. Give that a view. I kept my old checks for some reason in here. I don't know why. If I ever needed to like find them, it was an easy place. I don't know what this wristband is for. Maybe the Annie DeRusso concert. I'm not really sure, but another check. Okay, this string is pissing me off. Doing this one-handed is kind of hard. I'm holding a microphone in my other hand. A piece of paper that doesn't need to go back. A receipt for Christmas gifts that I'm going to throw away, actually. We went to the Flying W Ranch for my father-in-law's business, like, Christmas party. Nobody had gone to that yet, so that was kind of fun. Just kind of a dorky Christmas sing-along, basically. Not sing-along, but it was fun. Just Western cowboy dorky music. Fun. Pretty good food. It was fun. I would recommend it if you're like a tourist and wanting to go. I got my first Ugly books. They're like these colorful sketchbooks with really thick paper. I actually haven't even drawn in one yet. I'm a little overwhelmed with how many like books and sketchbooks I have going. So I've put them in a pile and I will get to them eventually. Another check. I got a tattoo from Mo's Tattoo. She works in Denver. You should look her up on Instagram. I can't remember the name of the shop she works out of. This is when I went to the Cowboy Hall of Fame. My husband's grandfather was inducted into the Wyoming Cowboy Hall of Fame. So we went to Cody, Wyoming for that and celebrated him. This is some perfume that I really explored a lot this year. I found this brand in Salida at the Fiber Festival, and it is amazing. I bought the sample pack because I couldn't remember which one I liked, and I wanted to make sure like I got the one that I wanted. And I ended up loving and buying a larger bottle of the studio scent. It's so fresh. Its main notes are like Palo Santo and something else that I can't remember. It's like, oh, it's lovely. This is from the casino, Bronco Billy's Casino in Cripple Creek, Colorado. Fun fact about this freaking cash out voucher. POV or me. You don't really like gambling that much, but you went up to Cripple Creek because your husband's friend likes to go to the casino for his birthday. So we're just up there to celebrate him, have some dinner, spend some money for fun. Austin loves gambling. He loves playing cards. You find yourself at a roulette table. Hey, one in Cripple Creek. You put $20 in the machine, you're sitting there. It's the computer kind where it like spits the little ball out in the middle and you just like have a good time. You start betting based purely on vibes and you're up like $40, having a great time. Hey, a gambler is born. Your husband's friend says, put it all on black. You do. You have a head rush. Your hands are cold. They're sweating at the same time. You feel sick to your stomach. You lose. You lose all of your money. It was only $20. There's a lot worse ways to spend $20 than at roulette. Who cares? It was fun. You got to sit there for a really long time and play a game. And you got to feel the thrill of gambling in a way that a monster was born. And this is your ticket to remind you when your husband's friend says put it all on black. If it's not in your heart to do so, don't do it. But also, it was a fun time. This is a Kaweco box for my Lilliputs. I don't know why I keep it, but I'm going to keep it. This is the sample. This is the perfume sample from the Kismet Olfactive. So every time you open this book, it smells fantastic, fabulous. This is a cool card that you found when you were walking around Salida. That Saddlebronc Rider looks really cool. Yeah, cool painting. You didn't go to the show, but who cares? Nobody cares. Another perfume sample. Smells fantastic. I think that's the studio scent. It's just so crisp and fresh. This is a drawing Austin did. Oh, a little note from your friends about their wedding. Cool, 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 cool. More checks. Yeah, that's right. I was making money this year. Royal Gorge Whitewater Festival. That was fun. It was a fun time. I drank too many Cutwaters. Hey, you guys, be careful with those because I'm not a big alcohol person, but I know my limits. I know like if I'm going out for a whole night, I can have up to 4 beverages over several hours, and I'm going to be good. I'm going to be having a good time, but I'm not going to feel like duty caca the next day. I had 2 Cutwaters over the course of like 3 hours. I was on my ass. It was specifically the whiskey sour. Holy duty balls. That was crazy. I'm not a big drinker. I really am not. I could honestly leave it and I'd be completely fine. Be careful with those Cutwaters. This is a thank you note from a friend I bought a piece of pottery from. And then this was actually from my first sponsor of the whole year. I didn't make a dime, but I worked with Magic Mind. You can see ads for that in some of my videos from like the middle of this last year of 2025. I took the sponsorship because I knew that it would be a fun experience, less like I'm going to make money. But now I have that under my belt. So if any brands want to sponsor me in 2026, my views are low, but I'm hopeful. So yeah, that was my sketchbook tour for 2025. It was kind of a long one. There were a lot of pages. I mean, 52 pages plus all of my monthlies. So yeah, I'm gonna pop back on the camera and talk to you guys about what you should do if you want to implement this. So you watched that whole thing and you've been influenced. You want to start your own sketchbook planner practice. First of all, you have to ask yourself, are you a planner person? Are you somebody who's already keeping a planner? If not, there are options for you to explore. The first one is maybe keep a blank sketchbook, something that's not dated, something that you give yourself the challenge of like, I'm going from a zero practice. I do not have a sketchbook practice. Challenge yourself to fill 1 page a week. That's pretty doable. Give yourself the space where maybe like on one side of the page you do a drawing and then on the back you do like a paragraph about your week and some thoughts and ideas. Or like follow the same pattern as this. Maybe you don't need to do a daily drawing in your monthly squares. Maybe you're just focused on the weeks. On one side, you have a little blurb about what your day was like, 3 things you were grateful for, general list of things that you did throughout the day for like more of like the historical record keeping side of things. And then on the other side, challenge yourself to do a weekly drawing, doodle, do a junk journal, fill the page with things that you found throughout the week that inspired you. It doesn't have to be aesthetic according to other people's ideas of what aesthetic is. The only thing that it has to do is serve you. So maybe you're somebody who wants to be a planner, but you have a hard time keeping up with it. There is something about having this like historical document at the end of the year that is super satisfying. This is a catalog of your life for an entire year. This is something that has value. Your descendants and the people who come after you will be interested in this. Believe me, if your grandma had done this practice, what would you think? Now think of that for your future, for your future kids. Unless you don't want to have kids, and that's fine. Be delusional about it. And like in the future, historians would eat this up. You know what I'm saying? Imagine if you had this kind of book from like a past historical figure, or just like even a past plain ass individual, like normal ass person who just lived a normal ass life. It'd be so interesting to see what was the normal ass life of somebody living in 1842. Keep a practice like this, and people will be able to answer that question for people who are living in 2026. So, options as far as books go. You don't necessarily need the Hobonichi. Hobonichi is just a brand. It is not like the only option. They just have a certain kind of paper that people really like. It is called the Tomoe River paper. It's this very thin, it's 52 GSM. GSM is like the weight and the thickness of the paper. And a thinner page allows you to have more pages in a book. So you can have a daily page. So you could have like 365 pages plus. So it ends up being more like a 400 page book at the end of it. And it all fits in a book that's like an inch thick. Thin, considering how many pages there are. That is really only needed if you want to have a daily practice. So if you don't want a daily practice, I'm going to recommend a weekly planner, like the Paper Age planner that I found on Amazon. You can do some research, find something that works for you. They make undated planners too. So if you're worried about consistency and having blank pages and you know you're not going to be the kind of person who goes back and fills in pages, find an undated planner so that if you miss a week or two, you can just write in the dates of the week that you catch up on and just keep moving forward. A finished book is better than no book. Something that is half done the way you think it should be done. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to catalog every single week if you don't want to, or if that's not your vibe. Find what works for you if this is a practice that feels exciting for you. Do some more research. Find people who are doing bullet journaling and doing this practice as well, and find inspiration for different spreads. There's things you don't necessarily have to do a monthly spread like I did in the back of the book. You can track different kinds of information, media, books you've read, things you're experiencing, things you want to experience, keeping track of different things. Bullet journaling is a great option for that area. Do some research. Journal TikTok will lead you down a rabbit hole of more ideas than you could ever possibly execute in your lifetime. And I recommend you fall down that rabbit hole and beware of the trap of consumerism, because fountain pens are fun. Pens are fun, and it is part of the process, and it is okay to buy pens and enjoy your pens. Just be careful. You can only use one pen at a time. Just be careful. Consumerism is real. Overconsumption is real. It's, we're not shaming you for it, but I'm just saying buyer beware. It is a slippery, slippery slope. Now, the option that I went with this year, which I forgot to grab it when I came down here to film, my book is at the house and I'm in my studio, is I went with an Aura Estelle, which has the Tomoe River paper, which is the Japanese thin paper, and it is a daily planner. So instead of the weekly pages this year, I have opted for a daily page. And what I really love about this planner is it's chronological from start to finish. So it starts January, and then you have a week slot where you can write down like things that you need to do through the week, and then each page is a different day. And then at the end of the week, you have another week slot, pages for each day. And then when the next month starts, you have your next month spread. So it's chronological from start to finish. I'll do a monthly flip through, I'm thinking, just so you can kind of see it as it's evolving. And yeah, that's what I've chosen to do this year. I gave it great thought, though. I started thinking about my planner for 2026 in September of 2025. And I know I'm not alone in this. The planner world is so weird, and it's fun, though. Stationery is just fun. I find it fun. I recommend it to anybody who is interested in it. Just start, have fun with it. It's not that serious. I think of it as a historical record of my life. I think that my descendants will be interested in what I have to say, because I would have been interested if my grandma had kept this practice, and I would cherish the books that she had created with her practice. And so I just have to assume that same thing. And then at the very least, I'm delusional about it, and I'm convinced that my books are going to end up in a museum somewhere someday. And you know what? The delusion keeps me moving forward. When I feel like I don't want to do my page that day, I just think about that, and I think about, what about the historians? They're going to want this page, and I make the page and I move on, because it really doesn't take that much time in the grand scheme of things. You can make your pages as detailed or as minimal as you want. Sometimes I just write a paragraph for the day. Sometimes I do a whole drawing. It just really depends on the vibe. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to keep your book like me. If you're more of a junk journal type of person, do that. It's very much open to your expression of creativity and the way that you want to catalog information and keep your book. If you want to just write what happened every single day and you don't draw a single drawing in the whole thing, that's okay too. I think it's fun and important to be a mundane person doing historical record keeping. Write things that happen down in the world, things that you're thinking of, things you're reading, experiencing, listening to, watching, all of that. It's useful information for somebody eventually. And I really, really believe in that. Whether or not that's true, I don't know, but I believe in it, so I'm going to keep doing it. I've babbled long enough. I don't know if that was really helpful for helping you get started. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. I can make more videos about things if anybody has specific questions. So yeah, follow me on TikTok and Instagram, subscribe to this channel, leave a comment, share with a friend if you feel so called to do that. Thanks for being here. If you made it to the end, you're a real one. Not very many people are making it to the end of my videos, and I'm feeling kind of down and hard on myself about that, which is stupid. I make these videos for me, and if you enjoy them, I love that. I want you to enjoy them, but I do not expect people to watch to the end. They so rarely do. Yeah. Thanks for being here. Until next time, my friends. Bye.